What's good, Space Cowboys? Zero here, back with another ship guide video, and today we're taking a look at the Stronghold. So the Stronghold is this massive Class C ship here. Probably seen some other videos about this online. It's definitely highly recommended, highly moddable. We'll take a look at some modifications that we're going to recommend here for this, as well as just some general specs and give it a flight test as well. Quite a beautiful ship. I mean, looks very industrial. Haven't played around with this one too much, but we're gonna see if we can't throw some extra weapons, engines, shields on this. Lots you can do to this thing, but pretty decent reactor power, 27, good jump range, so you can pretty much get anywhere, especially with the amount of fuel. It has 2200 fuel. It's got these 4 massive helium-3 tanks here, so there's pretty much anywhere you want to get to on the star map you're going to be able to get to with this thing. You may need to have some outpost if you're trying to get to the really far reaches. We can take a look at our star map and just see where we would be able to jump to. Wrong button there, sorry guys. So taking a look at our star map, we can jump pretty much the whole map with it. There's a few that are pretty far out here, but again, I don't really have any outpost out here in these outer reaches. So I think my closest outpost with helium-3 is... Actually, I think it's right here in Narian. So like this helium-3 fuel tanks on this are going to be able to jump you pretty much anywhere you want on the map. Obviously, there's a couple of these, you know, level 70, 75 systems way out on the fringes that you're not going to quite be able to get to. But once you have, you know, an outpost somewhere in this region, maybe around Crix or somewhere around here that has helium-3, that'll give you enough of a boost to get out to anywhere you want on the star map. So, you know, let's take a look back at our ship specs here. Decent lasers and weapons. I mean, lasers, ballistics. You know, we're doing the Dragon laser turrets as well as these rapid railgun turrets. I'm gonna swap these out, probably throw on some missiles on the back as well. I've actually already mounted a couple weapon mounts here on the back. I'm also going to add in a couple extra engines just because this thing is a hulking beast and is going to need that extra engine thrust to actually move anything worthy of combat. But there's plenty of spots for weapons. We'll look at some of the hard points on some of these other spots. I'll definitely add a few more shielding as well if that's possible. And probably swap out some of these cargo holds for something a little bit bigger. It does have decent cargo coming stock at 2360, but it definitely has a lot of room for expansion. But let's take a look at the Shipbuilder and see what modules we might be able to add or replace here. Then we'll take a look around the outside.
Trade authorities always buy. Sure, have at it.
The inside is quite a maze. I am not super happy with the layout. It is not easy to get from, you know, the landing bay entrance over here up to the cockpit, which is up on, you know, this very top floor. So you'll come in through the landing bay, and there's actually going to go up three floors here to get to the cockpit. Not my favorite design, just because it's really hard. Not really hard, but it just takes time to get from, you know, the entrance all the way up to your cockpit. That could be changed. Obviously, if you wanted, you could lower this whole module down, sink it down in front, take out some of these ballasts or whatever these, I guess they look like solar panels or radiator fins, I'm not really sure. And then this support strut right here, sink this whole module down into the front, and then you would at least be working on 2 levels and not these 3 separate levels. It would make it a little bit weird with your reactor there, but you could move things around. I do like the look of this So, I mean, if you like it aesthetically, I wouldn't change it. But if you get annoyed with the layout and running around all the time, you might want to change that. I feel like this is like a space tugboat with that these sort of bumpers up here in the front. Alright, so if we're going to modify this, what would we do? I would first add a couple engines. I think that is the very first modification I would add back here, is a couple more of these supernova engines. Let's see here, we've got our engines here, and again, I would just add a couple of these Supernova 2000 engines. All you need is Starship Design 1. If you have higher Starship level, you can maybe add larger engines if you want. But the Supernova 2000s seem to work pretty good. And we can double our engine capacity here. And that is going to make this thing have a lot more viability in combat. Next thing I would add, so we do have some hard points here. Like I said, I actually added a few hard points here in the back. So this is a weapon mount that I added here. So just to the reactor core right there, I added some of these structural horizon weapon mounts. And that's a good way to add some extra firepower to any point on your ship. I mean, you can add those all over the place. We could add one down here. You could add a couple there actually to your, although you're not going to be able to mount a weapon there pointed right at your. Let me squeeze that back on there. So on this weapon mount, I would add probably some missiles. Not sure which ones would work best here. There is a lot of choices. One thing I'm actually thinking about doing with this ship is turning it into a sort of disabler pirate ship stealing. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I don't really have a ship in my fleet yet that I use just for trying to commandeer other ships, so I'm trying to think about which one would be best for just focusing on those sort of EM power and disabling ships. But for this one, I would definitely throw some missiles here on the back. Your choice, whichever one you feel kind of works best for whatever your playstyle and skills are. I don't have any in mind here, but let's say maybe just these ATL 270s. Those pack quite a punch, have a pretty decent range. That is probably a pretty decent choice right there. And throw one on the other side as well. And that'll give you some good firepower coming off the back. If you don't like the way those look on the back, you always could mount these further forward. You do have these weapon mounts on these two sort of wing thruster, your landing gear mounts here, or of course you could add more laser turrets onto those. These are not the best laser turrets. I would definitely swap these out for something that's got longer range. The range on these is pretty short. We could definitely throw on some maybe Dragon 300s, or what are those? The Dragon 261s. PB 100s, any one of those. That's got a range of 3,300. That's definitely something more in my playstyle. I like to try to blast them from as far away as possible, just because I don't like them getting in too close. This disruptor auto turret's pretty nice. Does not do a lot of damage though. PB300s have good range, but they're just forward facing. If you like the auto turrets, you're gonna probably want something like these PBO300s. Decent damage, decent range, and definitely maybe more of what we're looking at here for this type of build. And flip. Anyways, I'm just going to fly this thing stock to see how this works right out of the box. Those are just a couple tips there. Like I said, I would swap out some of your cargo modules. I would definitely add in some extra engines to start. Has a decent shield to start. Definitely throw on some of these weapon mounts and missiles in the back, and then maybe a couple extra turrets in the front. Or if you just want some more front-mounted weapons being right there in the front as well. You could also take off these are just structural. I would definitely recommend kind of taking these things off, and then you get another hard point right there. Or if you don't want that, I mean, if you kind of like, I really don't even quite understand what those are for, but you know, that's going to give you another hard point right there where you could throw on maybe another turret in the back. Anyways, you definitely have a lot of options to customize this thing. It's going to be a pretty solid Class C ship for you. Again, the layout inside, as you see, is not great, but it does have several good modules inside. We got a control station here. We've got a cargo hall there. We have storeroom, companion fuselage, etc. But we'll take a look at the inside and around the outside as well. See how this handles in a fight against some decent ranked ships, and then go get it for yourself. It is a big ship. It will take up the whole landing pad. I've tried landing. There's this abandoned hangar I landed in once with this thing, and it really just barely fit. It was clipping through the walls and all sorts of stuff. Those helium-3 tanks are just huge. I'm not sure if there's another ship that you can buy that has a larger fuel capacity than this one. Also, sorry, I forgot to mention, where you can buy this at is in Akila. So in the Cheyenne system, if you go to Akila City, you'll just be able to buy it right from the vendor at the starport there. So go to Akila City, and right at the starport, you will be able to buy this ship from the vendor. It's quite expensive. I think it was somewhere in the 370, 390 range, somewhere around there. It was not over 400,000, but it is definitely not a cheap ship. I mean, as you would expect, it's massive. Just absolutely massive ship. That is a nice grav drive there. Pretty big reactor. These are all, I think, just structural, so these could probably also be swapped out here for other cargo if you're wanting to increase its cargo even more. This is purely structural and aesthetic there, so there's a lot of room for building and improving the storage space on this. Let's enter the landing bay.
Any adventure you can fly away from. Is that how
So here we get into our first level cargo hold here. So here we can go up there. And like I said, this is not the best laid out ship. It is one of the worst. Alright, so we got a little bit more cargo in here. So this is the cargo hold module that you can install. It is the 2x2 size cargo module. I think there is a larger one, maybe a 4x4. Maybe this is 2x1, sorry.
What's happening?
What are you doing? Are you stuck in the floor? So here's our console module. Sorry, this is a 2x1. This was a 2x2. This is your connection for boarding other ships or space stations. Nice viewport window out the other side. And on up. So here we are into the workroom module. There's a couple workstations, spacesuit, industrial weapons. And we've got to go up again to the command deck level. I think this just goes down to... Oh, yeah, right back down there. Sorry. I believe the ship does crew 6. Yeah, crew 6 people, which is nice. And beautiful cockpit. I love that your 2 jump seats for your other crew have tactical stations in front of them. I like the cockpit is pretty compact for the pilot, but has tons of visibility all around it. Nice cockpit design. Very nice cockpit design. Easy to get to your cargo hold, captain's locker, and your armillary. All right there. Compact, beautiful. Has everything that I would want from a cockpit or expect from a spaceship here. Some don't seem very practical. Like a lot of them, there's other cockpits that have like your crew seats facing forward, but there's nothing for the crew to do. They just sit there, I don't know, watch. But this is a pretty nice one. I feel like it's very sort of industrial, practical. I love how you can see all the wiring, gearing, hydraulics. Nice, nice, nice cockpit. Let's get in this guy. Take off. Go find us a fight. What a beautiful ship. It's a big, big, big beast. Alright, let's take off. See how she flies.
We have liftoff.
Man, those vertical takeoff thrusters must just put out a lot of thrust to be able to lift that thing off the ground.
Orbital insertion complete.
Alright, let's see what our speed is here with just the stock engines. So, top speed of about 100. Actually, that's not bad. Considering how big this thing is, it's cruising at about 100. You know, max turning speed right there, optimal turning speed is around 50. Boost speed, we're looking at probably close to 300, 275-ish. Not great boost speed. Turns are slow. Very, very slow turning. Not too surprising. It's big. It's got a lot of a mass. So, I mean, it's going to take a lot to change its momentum. But let's go see if we can't fight something here. So this is a pretty tough fight for stock that I've tried, but we'll see how it can fight against this legendary ship here. If you don't know where this is at, it is up in the Piazzi system here around Piazzi 4. I feel like this ship is a scavenger ship, so scavenger ship versus scavenger ship, maybe? I don't know.
Job complete. No ship restored.
I think these structural pieces on the side are kind of meant to help you aim. I mean, it's got an automatic aiming reticle, so I'm not really sure, but I'm guessing, because out of the cockpit, so these you can see, you know, kind of line up with your left and right guns. And then if you're in the cockpit, this one's lining up right in the front here. So, I mean, I think that's the design behind it, but why is he friendly? Why don't you want to fight me? Okay. These guys don't want to fight. And I don't have any automatic... they're all mine are automatic firing turrets that come stock on the Stronghold, so we're going to have to find another... find another fight here. Sorry about that. At least you found a legendary. If you hadn't seen that before... There we go. Crimson Fleet Captain. This guy should definitely want to start a fight with me. There we go. So again, with stock, you got to keep this within 1,000 meters because it does not have a lot of range on these things. But let's go ahead and pop up some shields. So, pretty good fighter. Like I said, with a bit of modifications, this thing can really, I think, be a beast. I'm sure there's some good guides out there on ways people have actually modded this, but I just wanted to show you what this looks like out of the box stock. Again, it's going to set you back about 370,000 credits, so save up your pennies. Go out and buy this from Akila. Thanks for flying, guys. I will see you in the next video. Cheers.